Well, hello again, friends. My name is Reverend Thomas Harper, and I'm the pastor of St. Luke's United Methodist Church in Bryan, College Station. And this is Weekly Theistic Reflections, where each week I take a verse of Scripture and I talk a little bit about it. I've entitled this episode, When We Step Out in Faith. Scripture that I picked for today is 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7, For we walk by faith, not by sight. So last summer, my 8-year-old daughter went to Christian summer camp for the first time. And I remember as we were getting ready to go to camp, I'm thinking to myself, my baby's not old enough to go to camp. She still rides in a booster seat. I doubt they're going to have booster seats on the bus when she gets here. But apparently, she was able to go if she was going into the 3rd grade. And Sophia's already kind of young for her grade school. So I was really nervous and anxious about whether or not Sophia could handle being at a gigantic Christian camp where it spans the grades from 3rd grade all the way to senior in high school, all by herself for the first time. And so leading up to the camp, we would pray that Sophia would find friends and that she wouldn't miss mommy and daddy too much, and that this would be a great trip for her. Remember the day that we went to camp, she was excited, she was happy, and everything was fine. Dad was probably a little bit more worried than she was up until that point, but once we got out of the car and her eyes saw how big this whole camp was and how old some of these other students were, that she just kind of glazed over. And you could see the fear in her eyes as she turned to me and said, Daddy, I want to go home. I want to go home right now, Daddy. Please don't leave me. And to be honest, Daddy was kind of having a problem too, because this was my first daughter that I was going to leave at a camp for the first time. And so we're both kind of going through this cloud of fear together, this anxiety about what is going to come next. And there was that moment of are we going to be able to do this or not? Is the fear of the unknown of what this week might bring big enough that we're just going to shut it all down? She's going to come back in the car and she's going to come home with Daddy again. But thankfully, there were counselors right on hand who had obviously handled scared kids and sad parents before. And so they grabbed Sophia quickly and kind of talked about all the exciting things they were going to do this week, and they showed her cabin, and her cabin people were really, really nice and friendly. And I remember saying goodbye to her on good terms with a smile on her face. But I kind of projected a little bit because I remember when I first went to camp for the first time without my parents and how homesick I got. And so I was really worried how she would handle this. Well, turns out she had an incredible week. She had so much fun. And I know that this is one of those trips that she will remember her entire life. And then I thought about how much she would have missed if she had let the fear of the unknown overtake her. If she had gotten in that car and gone home where she's comfortable, where she knows mommy and daddy are going to be, she'd have missed out on all of that exciting, fun stuff that God had for her. I think that life is like that God has big things for us in our life, but we have to be willing to step out in faith. We have to be willing to join into the things that God has for us. Otherwise, we're just going to stay at home and not take risks, stay where it's comfortable, but never really know what God might have out there for us. And so remember that God has big things for you, but you need to step out. You need to say, okay, God, I don't really know where we're going all the time, but I trust you that what you have for me is better than what I would have for myself. Remember, friends, that with God in life, the best is yet to come. Here's a question that I want you to ponder. How might God be calling you to come out of your comfort zone? And then, do you trust where God might lead you? While you're here, I invite you to check out this video. It is a video I entitled God's Strength in Our Weakness. It's more on this idea that God doesn't necessarily call someone into something that they're fully prepared for. God doesn't call the qualified, he calls the willing. And so when God calls us to a new and kind of scary place, know that God will supply what we need when we get there. Even if we don't think that we are qualified to do what it is that God has placed before us, know that God, when He starts something, He provides what is necessary to see it through to completion. And so if you're interested in more on that, I invite you to check out that video here. If you're in the Bryan College Station area, I invite you to check us out. We have a worship service every single Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We also live stream right here via Facebook, so you can get an idea of past services and kind of what we're about. But if you're in the Bryan area, I'd love to get to know you. Love to do life and ministry with you. But until next time, friends, remember that faith is just that. It is stepping out into the unknown a little bit. But when we do that, when we show God our willingness to trust Him, great things tend to come as a result. And so practice that. Practice stepping out into the unknown so that we won't miss what God has for us. And until next time, friends, continue to love each other well. Take care.